morning, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Carrie Penny, the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to show and tell number 8, I think. Maybe 9. I filmed last Friday, and I keep trying to explain my life is kind of a joke because there's the misconception I don't do anything, but literally I couldn't get a 30-minute video just straight uploaded. I didn't need to edit anything on it. It was just going to go as it was. And I literally could not stay put for 2 days long enough to just throw it on YouTube. So, here we are again. Wow, I'm crooked, aren't I? How's that? Less crooked. Okay. I went through like 3 different setups there and still couldn't get it right. I made my shawl. I have no idea what the pattern is. If I have it on Ravelry, I'll link it down below. I made it about 6 years ago. It's actually the project I was working on when I had my lymph node tumor removed a couple years ago. So it's a nice, big, smooshy, cuddly. It's something like librarian shawl or something like that. The yarn is, it's what Color Waves used to be 6 years ago. Well, I think I had, the yarn's like 8 years old, but it was gifted in a stash. But yeah, I'll link it down below if I remember to put it on my Ravelry 6 years ago. So, but very snuggly, very cozy, very comfortable. But I've only worn it about 3 times. Hilariously. You'll notice my light's a little funky. I finally fixed the light bulbs and got all 4 of them replaced up there. So it's a little bit glary still, but not nearly as blown out as it was before. So hopefully this will at least work for our purposes up here. When I'm done decorating for Christmas downstairs, I'll try to move filming back downstairs. But today it's overcast and rainy, so I can't get any light in the front room at all today. So it's still pretty early. I have some errands to run, and then we're having our furniture delivered. Knit Picks mug, knitting unicorn, just coffee today. But yeah, so I've got to run out, pick a couple things up. I had another order for hats, so I need to go get another ball of chocolate brown, but we'll get to that. I went ahead and bought some fabric to make a skirt because I couldn't find an ugly sweater concept or idea that I really liked this year for our party. So I think I'm going to wear a circle skirt with a V-neck, 3/4 length or bracelet length shirt. But I found a really pretty, super simple, very vintagey feeling poinsettia fabric. So I went ahead and got that pick up in store. I really should have turned that fan off. It's kind of chilly. So yeah, I've got to do that before 1 o'clock. Be back here for our furniture delivery because we're getting all new living room furniture. I just realized my glasses are casting a huge shadow on my face. Oh well. I'd rather see right now and not get headaches. It's like 4 minutes in and I'm just literally yeah, so brand new living room furniture. Gonna have that delivered. I gotta throw dinner together real quick, and then I have a meeting tonight at the church. So busy day, and I really want to get this filmed and hopefully edited and maybe uploaded. But that's going to take, depending on how long this takes, for every minute filmed, it takes me 3 minutes active time on average, 2 to 3 minutes on average, to actually get it loaded. So move from my phone to the computer, to into the editing software I'm using, to preview it. This one I'm actually going to have to splice a video in. So yeah, it's going to take a little while. So Not a whole lot going on here. We're prepping for our Christmas party, so we're already starting to get out, like, as we're buying little giblet things, because every year there's some sort of cute Christmas thing we like. I got a pillow for the blue chairs in my sitting room from Michaels. If you've been to Michaels.com, you maybe have seen the vintage Santa pillow. I got that for those chairs because that tree in there is going to be champagne pink, like vintage Victorian soft pink, champagne pink, aqua, and teal with splashes of white and silver. So that goes perfectly in there. I've also got some pink bottle brush trees that I normally put in that room, or normally last year I put in that room. We were only here for one Christmas so far. So we've been slowly decorating stuff like that. I've been trying to come up with a list of foods that are Carrie safe, that I can make at least in small quantities for me to eat for Thanksgiving. Trying to get Thanksgiving plans hammered out. I pretty much just told my stepkids when we're doing dinner, and my parents aren't coming this year, so it's just us, just the immediate family here. Let's see. Bought furniture Friday. Yeah, that's it. Working on craft stuff. So first, because this is going to be one of those things I come back around to, or I don't want to have to come back around to. So, finished objects. The first one I want to share is what I did with the Darn Good Yarn box. So I made this little bag. And what my plan is to actually almost make a hat for like a kid. My plan for this though is to make I am thinking to offset how pretty this is on its own, maybe a tan, natural, kind of muslin-y fabric. And I think I just want to make a drawstring bag. I want this to kind of be an applique bottom. I love how that makes my thing go crazy. But very basic, just diagonal stitch, nothing fancy. Like I said, I really didn't like the hat patterns, and I knew they weren't going to get any use. I love how those little stripes of black we saw in it, like, variegated it a little bit and created dimension. When I get my new box, I think it's Monday is when I'm expecting that. I'm going to have a lot to talk about with them. They've been very kind to reach out to me, and apparently there was a pattern for the blue that I used to make the doilies and the ornaments and stuff, and they did offer that, so I'm going to share that on Monday when I get the new box. They started responding to my Instagram post. I thought it was going to be really bad, my first box, and it's not been what I expected. So it's been fun, and I'm very happy that they've reached out and not taken my criticism as mean. I really want the product to do well because I believe I really like the idea of the recycled silk industry and recycled cotton industries. There's a lot of waste in those industries for fabric making that leave you with quality fabrics in the end. I've even considered taking the selvage strips on a lot of my fabric when I sew and turning that into like rug yarn. Just because some of those do have kind of cool, and you always have like that little bit of the printed fabric that you still have on the selvage when you cut it. So I actually think the company itself is cool. I really like the skirts and stuff, even though I've never bought one. They're aesthetically very pleasing. I do know a couple friends who have bought them and love them, but I want their subscription box to be good. And I really haven't been as disappointed as I thought I was going to be in what I got from them. It's been a little different than what I expected, and the fibers are different than you're used to working with. So I'll discuss more about that on Monday when I open the new box. That will be month 3, so that will be my final box with Darn Good Yarns. I went ahead and ordered the Jimmy Big Beanie bag for 3 months. So that will be our next month on make sure I'm holding it where my address is, month on subscription box review stuff. So I've been wanting to try the beanie bags for a long time. I didn't realize that they now had the big beanie bags, and they've got bags where you've got like a couple months where you're doing the same so almost like the advent calendar that they have, where you're making one big project out of the whole thing, and they give you the pattern and all the supplies for that. I actually think that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat idea. But big beanie actually sounded more amenable to what I wanted to do. $25 a month, $75 for the 3 months. So, I mean, not bad pricing depending on what we get. So, still waiting on my Knit Picks box for this month. I didn't cancel my subscription for that because I really did like the yarn I was getting for that. And it's something I would use very regularly. And I really was drawn to this month's colors. So, those hyper jewel tone colors. So, they're changing their shipping, I think, because they're doing that giant pattern book now. So, we'll have to wait for that still. I think that'll be here next week, maybe. So, I will probably share that in my show and tell from now on. I'm not going to do a separate unboxing for any box I keep a subscription to. I'm not going to continue sharing it in its own separate video. I'm still on my second cup of coffee, y'all. I decided not to work out this morning. I've got a lot of work to do today, and a lot of it physical. I've still got so much stuff to haul out to my car. I'm finally dropping off my donation hats. I had 23 to drop off. I'm going to go ahead and take the baby blankets. I've got 4 of those. And then I've got the last couple months worth of shawls that have been donated through the Prayer Shawl Ministry, plus the shawls and blankets that I finished. So there's an actual giant shipping box full. So the lady who is in charge of distribution for the Prayer Shawl Ministry, I'm sure she's going to be very happy with me. Not really. So my next finished object, I got one of the Christmas trivets done. Actually, while we were out shopping for furniture, I took my crochet with me to make sure the new sofa was something I could sit and crochet on. I didn't realize I was looking for a reclining sofa with a tilting head, but that's exactly what I was looking for. I like how the seaming on this turned out a lot better. That's the seamed middle section. And I did a straight whip stitch. Normally I don't like whip stitch on this, but for some reason it worked out much better. It's a little extra blousey. I'm going to have to probably wet it to get it to fold right. I wanted it a little bit more square than some of the other ones had turned out. But it was like 3.5 ounces maybe. I've got my book right here. Let's see. Christmas trivet, 3.85 ounces. So you would need to either be working from the big handicrafter balls like this is, or 2 of the regular sized kitchen cotton balls. I have found I actually have to finish responding to messages I've gotten PM'd and through Ravelry and stuff about my last video where I was commenting about not liking cotton so much and maybe figuring out ways to work with it that didn't make my hands itch. So this Bernat Handicrafter and the Vineyard color that I got from the Mary Maxim box, both are twist style dishcloth cottons. They're not as hard on my hands. I think it's because something about the way it's plied is not as hard. So I will say this has been easier to work with. Even as dry as it is and drying as it is, it has been easier. So we're getting there. I spent $46 on yarn at Knit Picks because I've made so much back in my Stashables budget. Sorry, kick the camera stand. I've made so much back in my Stashable. The goal was to not spend more than $150, but I've had enough sales to where I didn't mind spending some of that money. I intended on putting it on top, but normally in an average year, I only make $30, selling a hat here, a baby bib or something there. But this year I've had orders for hats and slippers, and I've made $100. So I spent 46 of that profit on a Knit Picks order. So I got 2 balls of Dishy, and I'll see how I feel about Dishy. But yeah. So that's done. Let's get the big one out of the way because I can use it to cover my legs. So I finished my harvest blanket. This was 9 balls of Caron. Well, I had the leftover ball. There it is. 9 balls of Caron Cake minus this, which is 2 different, it's both shades of yellow in there. It's folded in half. It's like 5 foot by 5 foot or 5.5 foot by 5 foot. It's not huge, but it's very pretty. And I enjoyed where we got some of the more monotone pooling in some of these areas. This is actually the red and the deepest orange together. This is both shades of the yellow, and this is the orange and yellows. This is the dark yellow, and this is the light yellow with orange. I really wish I could have found another ball or 2 and made this a little bit bigger. But now that we've got the new sofas, it'll be perfect for just laying out across me. So it may be blessing in disguise now. But yeah, I'm calling this my harvest blanket. I did 3 rounds of single crochet on the border just to give it a more stable. It's the lemon peel stitch. I forgot my patterns for everything. I actually got the idea from a pattern, and I kind of followed the pattern is essentially using 2 strands of big cake and doing the lemon peel stitch. And I don't think the pattern has a border on it. I didn't use their stitch count. All I did was use the idea of the multicolor cake yarn and the lemon peel stitch. So I kind of followed a pattern. I definitely got the idea from a pattern, and it's very soft. I mean, I've no bones about it. I've explained how much I enjoy Caron Cake. So, I forgot my Hobium project. Oh well. Next week. There's always next week. Let's see. Harvest blanket, darn good yarn, pot holder. All right. So, I told you I really want to take the leftovers from my Hobium Baby Pastel that I used to make the basic 80 shawl. Well, that's me squeezing it shut there. I made this hat. I did follow a pattern for it. It's a little small. Oh, you can see the seam. Well, at least you can see it on camera. You cannot see that in real life. That is so funny. I love how the camera picks up different things than what you can see in real life. I love the way this turned out. I need to buy another ball of this though, so I can make a hat that really fits me. The width is fine. Like it goes on my head just fine. I need way more stitches than this. So I think if I did another 3 inches of ribbing, then I can get a little fold up on my ears and keep my ears warm. It'll be the right length to actually pull down over my head. But it does shorten quite a bit when you stretch it out, and that's a pretty short hat. Look at all my beautiful floats. We will be circling back around to this because I've got some things to say. I used Vanna's Choice as the black and then the Hobium Baby Pastel. And I'll link the pattern down below. I do have it's like the striped hat or something like that. I can't remember the designer's name or anything, so, but I will share that. But I want to circle back around to this here in a minute for Carrie's rant. Let's see, my other finished object are the invites for a Christmas party. And I have I'm actually going to show you a video of the invites, but I kind of decorated all the envelopes. Everything's sealed up. Some of the envelopes kind of turned into a bit of sticker vomit, but that's okay. It was fun. It's an ugly sweater party. Like, it's an ugly sweater potluck party. No, it's upside down, but... I did pick a liqueur when I get that purchased. I'll share that with y'all before I pack it in the prize bag. But we have a prize for the best ugly sweater and a prize for the best dish. Everybody loves to show off their holiday dishes. So, last year it was baklava that won. Nobody who wins is allowed to enter for the same dish or the same sweater. So, we'll see what everybody brings this year. Now on to whips. And at the end, I'll show you the video with the invite. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and cut that in here. And I'm going to pause the recording because I do want to go grab that Hobium project because I had some things to say about that. So, I will be right back. Hi guys, so I have been up here in the craft room working on the invitations for our Christmas party. And before I get these stuffed into their envelopes, I wanted to share with you what I had made. So this is the invite portion. The green is ornaments. The red is the snowflakes there. And all of our party, obviously, information and stuff is hidden there. But I have a couple of different designs. We'll see some repeating as I pull these out and set these down so you have a chance to see them. But I've got 24 total. I left these super duper basic because of time, to be honest. It's not just been hard for me to get regular yarny and fiber crafting done, but paper crafting isn't something that's super easy for me to do sitting in the living room like fiber crafting is. Well, knitting and crochet. That's one of the reasons also why I haven't had much time to sew. So trying to get up here is kind of hard to sit up here and work for a couple hours at a time uninterrupted. The paper I used on these is like a super old paper pad that I used before I paper crafted. It was something I bought to do decoupage for a specific project with. And I'm embellishing the envelopes with this. This is, it was available last year. So if you bought a whole bunch of stuff on clearance from Hobby Lobby last year, you might have this. It's also available again this year. It's got a different topper on it. I think this is this year and the green one is last year's. But they're the exact same book. They have the same alphas. You can see where I've been using a lot of these. I also have this one from Recollections from last year that I've been using. And on the cards you saw this washi tape. Or it's not washi tape, it's some sort of runner tape. This one, which is washi, that one is paper, light paper. And this one. And those, I think these two are from the Dollar Tree. And this one is from the Target Dollar Spot last year. And I used up all but these 3 little tiny bits, which will go into my first ever December daily. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm going to use some more of these stickers to decorate the outside of the envelopes because most of these are going to be handed out in person, but I did want to have the coordinating washi on the back. I just thought that would be pretty. Plus, it uses up more of my supplies because, once again, I have way more than anyone should have. So, I'm going to get these finished up tonight. Decorating the envelopes, getting the ones that are going out in the mail sent out, and make sure these are all packed up for my husband to hand out to the people he's inviting, because I don't know how he's going to go about inviting people on his end. So, but I wanted to share before these get stuffed in their envelopes. So I'm assuming back to my regular video. Bye. All right, guys. The cats are in here now. Well, Pippin is, at least. Ooh. I went fuzzy. Hello. There we go. So my Hobium project is a whip. I'm going to say the name of this pattern wrong. When I saw it, my first thought was the Gorn from Star Trek, but this is made with the Hobium Jersey, which I really like. This is another one of those absurdly bright purple based. Well, hello, Caron. Hello, Bizarre. I got both cats. Absurdly bright, unnecessarily bright colorways. This is the one that's the Hobium yarn that's supposedly like Caron Cake. If you like Caron Cake, you'll like this yarn. I actually think it feels different, and it could just be this colorway, but the drape on it I actually think is a little bit better. It's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. A little surprised. To be honest, I was very surprised that I liked that as much as I did. But it's very, very smooth working. It's got a nice drape. Now, my drape could just be better because these are size 9 needles, and I'm not used to knitting Caron Cakes on size 9s. But, yeah, it's got about the same stitch definition. It works very smoothly, and it's very pleasant. So if you happen to see one of the colors on Hobium and you really are curious, I would say go for it. Once again, this is the second Hobium yarn I've used. I used the baby pastel and now this. The goal was to see if this was like Caron Cake or not. It's very, very similar, but to me it does feel slightly different. So, Carson, that ball of yarn is not yours. I mean, even side by side, it's still... I know what it is. The ply on the Hobium feels fluffy. It's like there's more air in the ply, which crocheting it could actually create a problem because that could create more splitting. But I've had no issue with splitting with Caron Cake, so I decided to knit the Hobium instead of crochet it. But I like it. Excuse me. Wow. Sorry, the cats are very distracting. They're getting into stuff. Whips. So like I said, I have a couple more orders for hats. It's all the same hat pattern. It's the slanting stitches hat. So I found this to be a very pleasurable pattern to work. I really enjoyed it, but the lady who ordered the 3 hats before, another mutual friend of ours took the hats to her last night, and when she saw them, she ordered, the lady who's carrying them, she ordered brown and spice. So I'm working on the spice one, finish the brown one. When the lady who ordered the first 3 hats got them, she now wants a black and a brown one. So she really likes that pattern. So I've been working on those. They're in a public shopping bag for Halloween. Very cute. But one of the things I need to go pick up is another brown ball of chocolate brown. Oddly enough, I did not have any chocolate brown worsted weight acrylic. So I'm using Impeccable this time. Nobody had the Vanna's Choice in chocolate locally. But I am using Vanna's Choice for the spice color because I still prefer that. Let's see. That was... Oh, sorry. Everything's a mess over here. My other big whip. Now, I have lots of whips. One day, I'm going to show you my whip wall. Hey, hey, hey. Tiger face. Tiger face tigre. He's been very, very snuggly recently. I think he's very cold. No, he's in the projects basket. But Carrie's doing something different. I'm learning a new technique. Ironically, as I'm teaching a class tonight on knitting in the round on double points, but I told y'all a couple months ago, I just gotten to where I was finally willing to try magic loop. And mostly because I wanted my first foray into 2 at a time socks. So, 2 at a time red Christmas socks. I did just spend $12 on Cascade sock yarn in, I can't remember what it is, but it's red and green and white. I want these to be kind of short socks, so I think I'm going to only do maybe another 1/2 inch on the leg. And that'll take it right under the, where the calf protrudes out for me. And do the heel. So, I should have turned both heels, depending on how long it takes me to get the hats done this weekend. By Monday, I should have turned both heels. So, I'm very, very excited. I'm using the Addy sock rockets. I was going to try the ChiaoGoo 9-inch, and I would have not had these done by Christmas had I done that. It's been a couple years since I made socks, so I actually just wanted to do a pair of vanilla socks before I did anything fancy. Addy Turbo Rocket, size 2, 40-inch. I still like Addy. I mean, don't get me wrong or anything, but for my regular knitting, I really do prefer the ChiaoGoo. I think I ordered a Haya size 2, 32-inch. So I'm going to give Haya a shot too. I know their tips are super, super pointy, and a lot of people like that. I like mine pointy, but I actually really like the soft round on things like the Addy. But Addy's kind of cost prohibitive. Yeah, I can get a full set of ChiaoGoo pretty inexpensively. Relatively inexpensively. It's still, $5 to $10 a needle, but these are like $24. I've got one Addy Lace Turbos that were, I think it was $34 for the size I needed. Luckily, those were a gift. So then this is sock yarn. I know this is 6 years old because our so a lot happened this one year, 6 years ago. Well, it'll be 6 years ago. Well, 6.5 years ago, because Nilla Wafer turned 6 next week, and her mommy was pregnant with her when this happened. So the spring 6 years ago, or 6.5 years ago, it's the spring where Pope Francis was elected Pope. I was given permission to start the prayer shawl ministry. My husband and I decided to start trying for a child. So they're like, we found out my daughter-in-law was pregnant with Nilla Wafer. So it was a very active year. So there's a lot of like markers across that. But on the way to take my husband to a surgery, we stopped by Joann's so I could have something to work on. And these happened to be on sale. And later that afternoon, as we were pulling into the hospital, my mom texted me to let me know that a new pope had been elected. So on the day that Pope Francis was elected pope, I bought this yarn. everything about that day was like a very memorable day. It was hilarious. But I know exactly when I bought that yarn 6 years ago. And I can't tell you, I've got some really nice fancy yarn that I've bought places. And I couldn't tell you when I bought it. And it was expensive and it's pretty and I love it. But I have no idea where I got it. Such is life. But, so this is in another bag by Awesome Granny. Yes, it's a Halloween bag. No, I don't care. The only thing I care about is it is oversized. I got a, here, let me pause this for a second so I can grab this. It's behind the camera. All right. So I got this adorable bag from Knit Two Together. I've never mentioned it on the podcast, but, I love vintage Pyrex. So I saw this and I was like, oh my God, it's so perfect. And it's got the divider bag on the inside. I love the bag. I have no problem with the bag. I would love to have my socks in this bag, in particular because I'm doing 2 at a time socks. And the divider would be perfect for keeping my yarn balls separate. The problem I'm having though is one of my drawstrings snapped the first time I tried to pull it closed. So, I'm not a huge fan of these suede drawstrings and a lot of things. I've gotten a couple bags over the years that have those and mine always snap. I've never had one snap the first time I tried to use it, but you can see how much drag there is, how much tension you end up. I mean, that's even trying to like smooth gather. So I need to just sit down and put a piece of nylon cording or satin ribbon through there. Maybe while I'm at the store, I'll grab some thin satin ribbon because I think I'm out. But I love this bag. I think the bag is adorable. I've been buying a lot of project bags recently because I just redid how I handle my whips. So I've needed a lot of project bags. And the sad part is I could be sewing my own. But she uses these amazing high quality snaps in here. I would recommend the Knit Two Together bags. Based on just the quality of construction, and I love the fabric on the inside too. I have no problem with the bag itself. I think this is going to be perfect for sock knitting, and I really want to do a lot more socks this year. But I do have to replace this before I need to replace the one that broke, definitely, but I think I'm going to go ahead and replace the one that didn't break as well. I've got one coming from, their podcast is Give Me Yarn 418. I got a Star Trek bag coming from them. I can't wait. I've got, I can't reach it without spilling my coffee. Well, maybe I can get it. I've got an entire bolt of the Exploding TARDIS fabric. And I got it with the intention to make a corset and a dress out of it, or a corset and a skirt out of it. Now I don't know what to do with it because I'm not really planning on doing a whole lot of cons. Pippin's trying to figure out how to get into the box of women's hats. There's too much stuff stacked on top of it. He can't get in there. My Cricut mats all fell out the other day. One of them was, so they're covering the top. But yeah, I'm not planning on doing any cons, so I'm thinking about maybe doing a couple project bags, doing like a sock size, maybe a large wedge similar to this. I don't know. I've got to make a decision on it though, because I really want to start using that fabric. All right. Those are my whips. Or the whips I brought in to share. Oh, he finally made a hole. Now he's in the box. Finished objects, whips. I got 2 more things I wanted to cover today. One is, what is my favorite crochet hook? I've talked about loving the Chalgoos multiple times. I've given my opinion on the Knit Picks Dreams, even though that's what or not Knit Picks, Knitter's Pride Dreams, even though that is what I'm using on the Hobium cowl. Gorin. Yeah. Like I said, when I saw the pattern name, I thought it was Gorn, as in Star Trek, but it's a character that appears to be loosely based on the Star Trek character in the Zelda games. I am not a Zelda game player, so I would have to ask my stepson about that. But I've given my opinions a lot on knitting needles, but I haven't discussed crochet hooks and what I like, why I like it, why I use them. So I am a Clover Amore girl. Yes, these are like trashed in here. I have 2 full sets of the regular size hooks. I've got extras of H, I, and J because I use those a lot. And I've got a PQ, which is the 15 millimeter. I got a 10 millimeter to do this blanket, the harvest blanket. Sorry, you can't tell what I'm pointing at. I've got it on my lap because it's kind of chilly in here. I haven't turned the heat on in the craft room yet, and it's been like in the 30s at night, and like today's high is 46. So like it's actually kind of chilly in South Carolina, and it's very chilly very early this year. This may be one of the first few years where I'm not hot wearing a 3/4 length shirt on Thanksgiving. It's also been very wet, and I don't remember such a wet fall in a long time. So there's that too. But yeah, I am 100% a Clover Amore person. It's the way I hold my hook though. When I crochet, I mean, number one, I do hold it like this, but having this curve on the back lets me rest my fingers where my knuckles are. So when I'm working, I'm not gripping this so tight my pinky starts to hurt, which then, you know, will start radiating exhaustion up through my other fingers. It gives, with the hump there, it gives me a better grip, and particularly working with double-stranded projects where you tend to push and pull a lot more. I've got a better grip between my ring finger and my index finger, pushing and pulling. And they're all, even I am not a fan of plastic hooks. As a general rule, I despise plastic hooks and will use aluminum, stainless, or wood when possible. But if you look, make sure that's in focus, there is absolutely no casting seam on the shaft of the Amore hook. You can see where it did have a casting seam that goes this way. And that's very important because it creates literally 0 snags. When it's on the side, also, when the casting seam is on the sides, it drags through every step of your project. This is so smooth. I mean, there's just nothing there. You can see it, but I mean, even rubbing on it, you can't really feel it. And the smaller hooks are even better for that because they've got a metal, and it's almost like Teflon hooks. I mean, it almost feels like Teflon coated hooks. They glide and move so beautifully. And even in the plastic, where you do have more drag because it's plastic on yarn, but far smoother than any other plastic hook. And I've had like the Lion brand hooks, the Drew and Borsky Crochet Dude hooks. I've had 2 different types of Addie crochet hooks, and I didn't like them at all. Either one. I didn't like the swing hook, and I didn't like the stick hook. Ugh. I don't know how anybody can be comfortable holding those. The stick one has no indentation here at all. And regardless of your hold, you still need some place to purchase on the hook. So I am 100% a Clover Amore girl. I do still use my Crochet Dude hooks when I see them. They were my gateway drug to the Amore hooks. I did my Doctor Who Grafgan using the Crochet Dude hook. And I loved it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I used my husband's modeling glue to glue the rubber piece back onto the hook because it did slide off. The Amore hooks, none of that happens. Like, if you want to get the cheap knockoffs from Amazon just to try them to see if they're the right shape for your hand, it's worth the $6 to $10 to try them. But they don't work as well as the Amore hooks do. The cover on those slide off. I recommend using an app such as Honey or one of the other price drop apps. Use one of those, put it on your drop list, and wait for it to go on sale for $25 on Amazon. Or when Joann's has a 60% off coupon, buy from Joann's. Either way, that would be the way I go. It's worth the investment to get the real hooks. I know a lot of people say the same thing with the locking stitch markers from Clover. Don't buy the Chinese ones. Buy the ones from Clover. The knockoff ones snap. The crochet hooks don't snap, but they don't work as well. They're not as good. So go ahead and spend the money on the Amore hooks if you already know you like that style. It's worth it. And maybe you want to buy one at a time. Like for me, I use HIJ almost constantly. Those are my standard crochet hooks. So you might want to just buy one or two of your most commonly used and then buy by project with a 50 to 60% off coupon. That would be another way to do it. But I do find the set, I bought my second set for $25 on Amazon. So it's worth it. Hands down, my favorite hook is the only hook I use now pretty much. Like I said, except for the Crochet Dude hooks. I do still like those. But I still reach for the Amore first. I had the other day, actually, all my eye hooks were used in projects. They're in project bags. So I had to use the Crochet Dude eye hook. And I've got two of them. But yeah, I had to go find one of those. Not because, and it's second best because I don't like the shape as much. It's flat on both sides. I really prefer the roll to the Amore hook. So 100% worth the investment. And my rant, the last thing for the video today. So I mentioned I made this all out of acrylic yarn, the Hobium Baby Pastel and Vanna's Choice. When I started knitting 10 years ago, 11 years ago, 12 years ago, that's in one of these videos actually, because I saw my joined Ravelry date and I had it listed in there when I learned how to knit. I've been married for 15 years, so it's been less than 15 years. But when I started and I wanted to start learning Fair Isle, almost everything I had was acrylic or acrylic blend. I had some of like the woolies and stuff like that. Everybody kept telling me, like, I had done Fair Isle when I wanted to learn Fair Isle. I did it in acrylic. That's all I had. And everybody's like, oh, well, you can't do that. But I did it. Oh, you can't do that. You can't block it. Well, you can block acrylic. And in the video that I didn't get posted on Friday, I guess was a little nasty about it, but when I started knitting, I thought knitters were snobs. I thought knitters were mean compared to crocheters, and I thought they were snobby. What I've discovered, though, is knitters my age and younger seem to be far more flexible than knitters who have been knitting since they were 20 and are now in their 60s. And the only thing I can think is acrylic used to be crappy. It was all Red Heart. Now, I would never do intarsia, knitted intarsia, or Fair Isle in Red Heart. But acrylic has come a very long way. And you can block this. This one in particular doesn't need blocking, maybe a little touch at the top just to make it, when it's not on your head, lay flat. But I don't feel, I'm more concerned about how the garment looks on, not off. So for me, that's not a big deal. Unless I was gifting it. And then I might be a little bit more worried about how it looks just sitting. But, when you block acrylic, it's permanent blocking. You steam block it. You don't lay it flat to block it. And for knitted Fair Isle, if you need to block it, stretch it out and steam block it like you would any other garment you were steam blocking. If your floats are puckering because you're steam blocking beyond the floats, flip it over and steam block it from the inside too. But you can see, I am so proud. I haven't done Fair Isle in a long time, and I actually really like the way that looks. Like I might make another one and then flip it so because the top doesn't look that great. I guess I could put a palm on one and do it that way though. But if you block it from the outside lightly and from the inside lightly, because it is kind of a double layer fabric, you might need that. But you can easily block acrylic. You can easily get good stitch definition with a good quality acrylic. There are lots of big box stores that have good quality acrylic. I like the Deborah Norville collection. I really like the Vanna's Choice collection. The acrylic that's used in the Lion brand, mandala, the blend with wool for woolies, things like that. Very good quality, soft, has a nice drape and hand to it. Things like, I know Sheepish has been discontinued, but Lion brand has a very similar, Red Heart Unforgettable, the big fluffy single ply acrylic yarns. Those don't block very nicely, but most of the things you're going to make tend to have a little fluff with them anyway. And I've been told that Red Heart has a premium acrylic. I also have not tried Premier brand premium acrylic either. I know Ross, Small Great Guy here on YouTube, he's got the Premier version of Michael's Joy, or Loops and Thread Joy. I haven't tried any of their premium acrylic beyond the Deborah Norville collection, which I adore. I've got blankets made out of it. It's actually on sale at Joann's, and I do have some budget now, so I might have to go touch some and see what they've got. That's where I found the fabric, so I've got to go to the store anyway. But yes, you can. Now, all that said, you can knit with it, you can do Fair Isle with it, you can do intarsia with it, you can make beautiful knitted lace with acrylic, and it'll always hold its block, it'll always hold the blocking, it'll always hold its shape. That being said, using cheap acrylic to knit with, I understand why people don't like knitting with acrylic and why there are so many fiber snobs when it comes to knitting. I can crochet Red Heart all day, every day, no problem. I cannot stand to knit it. And it has something to do with having to pull, you're levering up loops and your knots. And binding off with Red Heart is a nightmare. But Vanna's Choice, no problem. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, no problem. The Hobium yarn I just used, even though it's, I can't remember if it's polymod or nylon that one's blended with, no problem. I did a 3-needle bind off with that one, and it was beautiful. So I just want to say, in particularly because I did just do an all acrylic Fair Isle project. Actually, maybe I'll get, no. See if I could get enough length out of it to, if I blocked it down, but that's going to warp the stitches too much. You can do this. This is possible, and you will get a very dense, very warm, very hot, and potentially very sweaty, because acrylic doesn't breathe like wool garment. To be honest, I probably wouldn't knit myself a sweater out of these, but like a cardigan or something like that you're just going to throw on for more of an outerwear kind of thing, not a problem. So that's Carrie's rant for the day. Don't be afraid of using high quality acrylics when you're knitting different techniques. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a broken fiber, and there are still a lot of people who are convinced that you can't do interesting things with acrylic. And a lot of it, I think, is a holdover from not having high quality acrylics available when they were learning how to knit. And also understanding blocking of acrylic is something different. I've actually been members of crochet alongs where they've told members, oh, don't recommend steam blocking because somebody might mess it up. So it's like the secret community of knowing how to do it. So highly recommend trying it. Love the way my hat turned out. By the time I get all this spliced together, this is going to be another hour-long video. I'm very sorry. I talk a lot. I need to get to work. I need to go pick up my orders. I guess I probably have to put on a sweater instead of my shawl. It's kind of cold. Like I said, today's high is 46 and it's still kind of yucky out there. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And I think I'll be back on either Monday or Tuesday with the unboxing of the Darn Good Yarn for November. Take care. Hugs and kisses. And I will see you again real soon. Bye, guys.